Hey there, YouTube friends. Michael back. If you can hear cars in the background, I apologize. This is kind of an impromptu video here. I'm going to be talking about my Drews boots and kind of what I do to take care of them. I've had them for about a year now. They, to me, still look fairly new. Granted, I do not do heavy construction or really beat them to death on a regular basis. I do use them significantly for yard work, and anytime we go hiking, I will slap them on just solely because I've got those nice logger lugs, and anytime I take them camping or hiking, they're amazing. So they're the rough out, and every time I look on the forums or kind of see what people are doing to take care of what I end up finding is people oil them up or they wax them, and it kind of really just ruins that nap. And that's not something I want to do. I bought a rough out boot. I wanted to keep it a rough out boot throughout my time wearing it, and I've tried to do what I can to keep the look of the boot. My pants haven't really wore out the nap that's on the outside of the boot, so I've been able to maintain that. I have taken any of my mink oils and I do apply them to the inside of the boot. That's where I'll just rub those down every once in a while. Now I know some of you are going to listen and say, well, the toe box is lined, so I'm not really getting any kind of moisture to the toe box. And I concede that. I definitely agree that that will be one spot of the boot that I'm not getting any kind of moisture to. But what I have been using is this Bickmore. It's an aerosol spray. It doesn't darken the boot, I think, in a way that some people think it would. When I first used it, now the boots are probably right about now the color that I feel like they were when I purchased them originally. When I had sprayed them down the last time, they were about as light as this. The leather had really kind of tanned out, and that was something that I would like to almost say irked me. Not so much so, it was a visual aid to let me know that the outside of the leather was getting kind of dry. And I figured, you know what, this would probably be a good time to maybe apply the Bickmore to the outside of the boot just to see what happens. I did try a little bit of an area, let it dry, brushed it with the shoe brush, and I was kind of satisfied with what it looked like. So I ended up hosing down the entire boot with it, and ultimately that first night they were a little bit darker, and by the next day though they had kind of come to this color that you see here now. I don't know if the light from the setting sun is going to do it any kind of justice, but it's definitely nice. Now, as far as care goes, I'm not going to take the kilties out or anything, but what I've been doing is I will just make sure I got this all here where we can see, you know, kind of just give it a brush. It'll kind of lift that nap up. And I'm only going to do this toe, and I might do the other toe also just because they were looking a little bit dry. And it's winter time. I've been wearing them quite a bit. So I don't think you've got to shake this. It kind of feels like those type of aerosols where it's there's no need for shaking. But again, just a light mist over it, and that's it. So hit this other toe, kind of lift up the nap is what I'm trying to do. So when I hit it with that aerosol, when I spray with the aerosol, it's more likely to get into the depths of that. That's the extent of it. Now I'll do the entire boot normally. The laces, these are actually the same laces from my last video when I had put them in. So this brand that I got off of Amazon, and I'll put that in a link below or maybe in a card somewhere on here just because I can't quite remember the name of them. But I got them off of Amazon. They were really, really thick when I started using them. They're still fairly thick. But when I put lotion or any kind of creams on the kilties, I also do the laces just to keep the laces moisturized. But ultimately, that's the extent of it. You know, occasionally I'll put some cream on the inside of the boot, and then I'll just hit them with this Bickmore. Again, anytime they start to look a little bit light, like they're losing that darkness to them, I'll just give it a quick little spray. I've maybe done it 3 times since I've owned the boot on the outside, and this would make the toes time number 4. I'll probably end up doing the whole boot after the video's over. But that's the extent. One other thing that I'd like to talk about, and I'll add some pictures here kind of just to show. So I've put my foot on a Brannock, I have an 11.5-inch long foot. It's awesome, right? So you would think that maybe I would get a 10.5 in the Drews, or maybe any of the Pacific Northwest boots. So I've got the picture here. Hopefully it's up. 11.5-inch. I got a 10.5, size 10.5 Red Wings, the Iron Rangers. They are gigantic on me. So 11.5-inch foot, 10.5 size Iron Rangers. I'm swimming in them. Most of the time when I wear them, I'm wearing a wool sock. Is the only way that I can get them to fit without really feeling like my foot slipping around. I have an insert that the salesman at Red Wing gave me when I kind of went back and was like, hey, the shoe's way too big. It's not really fitting me. So 10.5, too big. Going by the Brannick, that should have been the shoe that fit me the best. My Wolverines, I'll put them here. I have, I think, going on 6 pairs of Wolverines. I wear 10s in those. They're still like maybe 1.5, 2 fingers of space between my foot and the end of the toe box, but the width is perfect. It's not overly snug, but it's comfortable with the regular socks that I wear. And I've been wearing the Wolverines like that for quite a while. Now these Drews, these are 9.5s. Now they're 9.5Ds, and I showed you my Brannick, and let's see if this will show up. I see part of the boot showing up. Let me touch my screen. Let's see if I can make it focus on there. So there we go. 9.5s. These are what I wear. They're comfortable. They really are. My only complaint initially was pinky toe room. I mean, you guys, if you've watched my other videos, the pinky toe was really my only complaint. The entire boot. Maybe the amount of space between the lacing when I cinched them down was a little bit more than I kind of like. So I figured, but we'll go back. So ultimately it's the length, 9.5. I have an 11.5-inch foot wearing a 9.5 boot. Length, spot on perfect. There's still even maybe half a finger. It's a finger space between my toe and the toe box. So my toes never touch the front of the boot. And that's really what I like. Recently I ordered, and I didn't even put the video up. One, the audio is shot. It didn't come out very good. But I ordered from Nick's. I got their Builders Pro, and I got 9.5 E's. And when I went to stick my foot in the shoe, length was fine. It was just kind of crushing my toes. It was not wide enough. So I thought maybe a double E. Now I've gone ahead and ordered some lace to toes from them in E, and the it's going to slip my name, but the other last that they have, I want to say Hawthorne, but that almost sounds wrong. So I ordered the wider toe box, and we'll see if the E comes back with something a little bit better fit. But in all my discussions with people, they're like, well, you must have done something wrong. You must have measured wrong. Well, I mean, I could understand where you're getting that from. 11.5-inch foot. It should not fit in an 11 or a 9.5 boot. Well, maybe Drew's measured wrong. I really don't think they did. But that's my biggest complaint, is that the shoe sizes don't match anything. Even looking at, like, when I looked on the Brannick scale, and to see what an 11.5-inch foot double E would look like, it's like this. My foot's definitely not that. Looking at the 9.5, it's probably a little bit closer, but still the E's and the double E's are massive. So wrapping the tape measure around my foot, the fabric measurer, I've got a 10 5/8 circumference around the ball of my foot, so going across my toes. So I did reach out to Nick's, because I did order the lace to toes, and said, hey, this is the circumference of the end of my foot. When I order this boot, this is really, the length is what I want. I want a 9.5 length, because that seems to match my 11.5-inch foot. But I really want to make sure the circumference is where it's going to be fitting. And hopefully I'll get it back with some little bit of space. But the Drews, awesome enough. You know, I had to do work on the boot to get me a little bit more pinky space, but it's there now. If I let them sit for too long, I do lose a little bit of that. So when I put the boots away for any period of time, I stick a wool sock over the shoe tree and I mash it in there as deep as I can get into the toe box to make sure it still stays where my pinky's not rubbing throughout the day. But I'll wear them all day long. I'll wear them to work. I'll wear them for yard work. And at the end of the day, I'm not in any discomfort. So if you're watching this and sizing's an issue with you, I think it's something that's very difficult and challenging for a lot of us. My biggest worry now with my Red Wings, I will wear those, and I will wear them with a wool sock. The only issue is if I'm running upstairs, I can't calculate that extra space at the end of my toes, and I end up kicking the steps all the way up, you know, half stumbling going upstairs, just because of I'm not spatially aware of that new distance in them. And if you're having that trouble, you know, if you're finding that there's a whole lot of toe space in the end of your toes, leave a comment below. If you find that you've got to go down several sizes to make your boots fit, let's have that conversation. And if you're looking into Wolverines, I'm hopefully gonna start showing some videos on the Wolverine boots I have. Some are excessively worn because I've been wearing them for quite a few years, and some of them are still fairly new. I got on this Black Friday sale. I got a pair of black ones that I'm wearing right now, and I got the Axle boots. They're not really called Axle anymore, but they are their hiking boots. So hopefully I'm gonna do some videos on those because there's not many videos on the Wolverine boots. But I hope this video helps, that if you wanna keep the nap on your rough out boots, that this Bickmore is fantastic. Again, I just brush it to lift the nap up. I spray it down with this. I don't saturate it. I just hit it really good. And once it's all done, you know, I let it dry. I give it a brush again, and ultimately the color is where I like it. So I hope you've enjoyed. Go ahead, like, subscribe. Leave any comments or questions below. Anything that I've missed that you want to know about this boot, I'll do another review here shortly in the future. But thanks, guys. Ciao.